So I don't remember if I was just scrolling through the Pokemon ROM hacks Reddit or my friend SMB Super Meme Bros was. We're both big Pokemon ROM hack fans. But either way, I stumbled across this White 1 Trashlocke hack, Pokemon Wubbish White. And I just finished Pokemon Wishy Washy White 2, which is a White 2 Trashlocke. And I'm like, dude, I kind of want to just play this and see how similar they are, what the differences are, which one I prefer more. And I really enjoyed the White 2 Trashlocke, so fuck it, might as well just try another one, right? So I end up downloading this and playing it on my phone, and honestly, even though comparison is a thief of joy, these games differed so much that it was actually crazy. I don't want to be like, okay, the whole point of this hack is to emulate, another hack that came out maybe a few months before. That's not what I'm trying to do with this video, but I'm essentially going to break down this ROM hack, right, and just give it a full review. I will be looking at it through what I want a Trashlocke hack to be, what I've played, and just generally how much fun I had. So this hack was made by Geodude Good and takes heavy inspiration from Garbage Green. It became very clear when I was actually playing how much inspiration this game takes from Garbage Green and the creation and development and kind of just ideas that went into that hack. For those who don't know, that was, I believe, made by Pokemon Challenges and his community. It was a way to basically try to make the vanilla Fire Leaf Green trainers as hard as possible. It was how many things can you change in this game that are not trainers, whether it be encounters, moves, PP is a main thing, and evolutions. Garbage Green deleted a lot of evolutions, and so Pokemon like Elekid would stay in Elekid, right? For example. So I'm going to talk about some things I really liked in this game. I thought the pacing of this game in terms of just how easy it was to get from point A to point B was phenomenal. This game had an NPC that gives you unlimited rare candies, repels, all that stuff, which makes the game way faster to get through. It also gives you full restores and max elixirs, so you don't have to go back to Pokemon Center every time. This is actually genius, by the way, and I literally stole it in my ROM hack. Also, the documentation was really good. It's a Google Sheet, and even though the Pokemon trainers weren't really changed, it still was very easy to see which trainers had what. I didn't struggle with it at all. One thing I did notice is that the ground items were pretty useless because I already had full restores and rare candies and Pokeballs and infinite money. They just didn't really make a difference at all, really. I also like the starter choices. It is the 3 elemental monkeys, which I thought was really fitting in this Unova hack. They're not really amazing Pokemon, so it's a good place to start in terms of, fire, water, grass that aren't super good. I will say that Pansage is easily the worst one. Grass is just the worst typing, and Seed Bomb is not as good as Scald and the Fire type Flame Burst. It's pretty much an unpickable starter if you ask me, unless you're just trying to have fun or trying to randomize which one you pick. So now let's get into some things I thought weren't that good. I'm really not trying to bash this hack whatsoever here at all. I'm just trying to offer some constructive criticism. I literally played this game until the E4. I had fun with it either way. But there's a lot of things I can't ignore. I was thinking in my head over and over. I was like, what is this game's deal? It just felt weird to play. And then I realized this entire game until the Elite Four feels like a first gym battle, extended. Everything is just the first gym battle. The first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth gym leader. The Dragon Gym Leader. These all feel like first gym battles. The part of the game where you just spam tackle and, that's about it. You might be asking, why does this hack feel like the first gym on repeat until the 8th gym? It's because Pokemon don't evolve. The Pokemon that are selected are really bad. And if you scroll through the evolution changes, pretty much nothing evolves. Most Pokemon do not evolve. And many Pokemon will evolve at level 50 or 54 or 53 or something like that, which is already when you beat the normal Elite Four. This is just a champion fight. None of your Pokemon evolve really ever, to be honest. It's really strange. And what I thought would be a strength of Gen 5 is because, it has all these Pokemon. I understand in Garbage Green, a Gen 3 Fire Red hack, or Leaf Green technically. Maybe you need Pokemon like Elekid that don't evolve and that are, okay at one point in the game because you don't have that much any other options. There's a lot of mid Pokemon to good Pokemon in these games that will be banned, that just makes sense. In Gen 5, when I was playing, I don't mean to keep comparing this, but when I was playing the White 2 Trashlocke, this game had so much fun variety. There's so many different Pokemon that are fun to use. I recorded a video with the Hacks dev tier listing all the Pokemon. It was like 150, and all of them were unique. I mean, except like Plus or Minor, they were kind of the same shit. But anyways, these Pokemon in Gen 5 have so many different options. I thought the whole point of a Trashlocke was to use like underutilized Pokemon and be like, wow, this guy is actually not as bad as I thought he'd be. He actually has a bunch of good attributes and is useful in this kind of different fight, this kind of different fight, this kind of different fight. When I was playing the White 2 Trashlocke, I'm like, wow, Farfetch'd, Seadra, Ledian, like these guys are all crucial to my run. Ledian, bro. A fast, screener with support options and stuff like that has Roost. In this game, at the 7th gym, you get a Blitzel that does not evolve. Why does a Blitzel never evolve? What is the point of a Blitzel that doesn't evolve as a Gym 7 encounter? Like, why does this exist? What is the point of this? And when I talk about this hack being a first gym battle on repeat, it's mostly because these trainers are not that hard. The base vanilla, if you're having infinite rare candies, the base vanilla gym leaders are not difficult. I would say maybe the 8th gym is kind of tough. The 2nd gym leader can be tough if you're getting cheesed. And everything after the 8th gym is pretty damn hard, I will not lie. But in the meantime, it just feels like I have these weak, unevolved Pokemon freaking just tackling over and over. And not only does this hack delete evolutions, but it also delays ones that, in my opinion, have no business being delayed. Why do I have a level 23 Kakuna? Why? What is the point of this? This isn't fun. And all these LC Pokemon, these first stage Pokemon that have not good stats, it's whatever to use them until they get crit. And they will just die almost every time. If you're not holding an Annihilate, you will probably die to a crit. Because these Pokemon have no defenses and Gen 5 has 2 times crit, 1/16 chance. Your Pokemon pretty much just has a 1/16 chance to just die at any point, most of the time. This might seem dramatic, but I felt like each Pokemon's individuality was kind of just erased because any Pokemon can just die to a crit at any point in time, right? And there's only one Eviolite to go around when all my Pokemon are not evolved whatsoever. It became crucial in fights and important fights, right, to sack Pokemon. It just felt like all my Pokemon just didn't really have purpose. They were just there, and if they got crit, they died. There was really nothing I could do about that. It didn't feel like there was a lot of skill expression. I would just use my 6 Pokemon that had the best gym matchup, and these gym battles are not hard if you're rare candying to the highest level Pokemon. So it just felt like a bunch of weak fights. These fights in this game just felt so weak and unfun, to be honest. This Gen 5 hack had a very Gen 2, Gen 3 way of picking out what the power level was. I was watching, I was like, what did Pokemon Challenges? What did he bring to, the champion E4? And, his team didn't really blow me away or anything like that. But what blew me away is that the champion battle has a Dragon Rage Gyarados. The hack dev basically just saw Garbage Green and was like, hey, this is how you balance Pokemon. That's it. We figured it out. And there's a lot of other things that confuse me about the balancing of this game. Like between Nimbasa and Driftveil, where you usually get like a Duckle or something like that. It's like Dunsparce's Bridge, because I guess in Garbage Green, it's like Dunsparce's Cave instead of Diglett's Cave. You get a guaranteed Dunsparce. But Dunsparce at this point in the game is like way better than anything else. It gets Stab Strength, it gets Roost, it gets Glare, it gets Yawn. It gets all these like really good moves when everything else is just using bullshit, to be honest. Like I brought a Feint Attack Sneasel to the Elite Four. Because, there's no move tutors in this. Vanilla White 2 does a really good job of making sure a lot of Pokemon get really good moves and stab and all that stuff. But I brought a, 1 or 2 PP Honeclaws Sneasel to the Elite Four with Feint Attack as the move that tried to kill stuff. And since the starters are the Elemental Monkeys, there's no Dream Yard encounter, so it's like, okay, cool. The hack gives 2 gift encounters. That's lit. But then it's a Magikarp and a Feebas, which plays into what I was talking about earlier with how a lot of Pokemon in this game just feel like fodder, or feel like a sack, or they feel like they're useless and have no purpose. Why is there a Feebas and a Magikarp gift? What is even the point? And a lot of PP changes, spoiler alert, there's a lot, don't really make sense. Why can't I use Rest, a really good move that most Pokemon can learn, 10 times, but Stealth Rock, its PP's changed to 3? Why am I ever clicking Stealth Rock 3 times in battle? Why does that even matter? What is the point of changing that? And I almost went the full video without saying this, but there's a lot of like weird PP changes to attacks as well. Strength has 7 PP, right? Which is just weird. And if they're gonna actually have trainers, like gym leaders, that actually heal, then you might just run out of PP in important fights, like I did with Strength. And so you might need to have 2 attacks that have the same exact purpose, which is a really strange way of balancing, in my opinion. And the craziest thing balance-wise has got to be the N, Zekrom, and Getsus battles, all back-to-back, right? And I was thinking when I was, plotting the E4, I'm like, wait, what is the actual, Zekrom replacement? Because why would a Trashlocke give you a Zekrom? Like, how does that make any fucking sense, right? So I'm like, okay, maybe it's gonna give you like a good Pokemon that's not that good. Maybe it's gonna give you like a Phione or something because it's technically a legendary. Like what is this game cooking for this fight? Because I mean, that's obviously those are the hardest fights in the game, especially if you're using Nuzlocke rules, where if a Pokemon dies in the back-to-back, you still can't use it and you can't like change it out with anything, right? I kept wondering, I'm like, what is going on here? What's gonna be the legendary replacement? And then there just wasn't one. And it's like, I'm using a Zekrom in a Trashlocke? What? How does that make any sense? That specific part felt like a bit of a disaster. It's way too hard, dude. Your Pokemon are not good enough for that back-to-back. Like Zoroark, Reshiram, Hydreigon, Electros, Archeops. Nothing you'll ever get even remotely compares. So I guess, I don't know if it was intentional to keep Zekrom. It had to be, right? But it also just makes no sense because it's a Trashlocke. Why am I stuck with a Blitzel if I'm eventually going to have to use, a legendary to even think about winning the fight? At that point, just let all the Pokemon evolve after the freaking, Elite Four part, where you can actually go back and use your PC. I think some people didn't know that actually. You can beat the Elite Four in this game and then use your PC, like before the finale, right? So it would make sense. Oh, just let all your Pokemon evolve, and then the back-to-back isn't as hard, right? But most Pokemon do not evolve, and they're completely useless, and you are going to lose this fight most of the time. I don't really know how you beat this fight, to be honest, especially with no legendary. And it's crazy because after the Elite Four evolving your Pokemon through level up, this idea literally crossed Hack Dev's mind. I'm pretty sure that's what my Drowsy did. So one would think that you would actually, have good tools to fight the Elite Four, but no, not really. You basically need to have some sort of like outlier Pokemon like Dunsparce that just never got sacked throughout the whole game, or maybe you got really lucky in your encounters, or maybe you have like some setup cheese to actually attempt to win those fights. But yeah, overall, this game was just one of the more confusing ROM hacks I've played. It does a lot of things right, and it does a lot of things wrong, mostly in terms of balancing. The balancing was just kind of a big question mark. Also, I had some other nitpicks, such as, Fungus can't evolve into a Mungus, right? But you can actually get Wild Amoonguss, I believe the Terrakion or the Cobalion, whichever one is by the Chargestone Cave, you surf right. It's not actually changed, so you can get a legendary Pokemon. I assume that was just an accident, so that's why I didn't mention it as like a main thing. But this game could easily just have a few changes and be great. But yeah, I would probably give this hack like a 5.8 out of 10. It's pretty easy to get through because a lot of the gym leaders aren't super hard. I think I did wipe to Berg because I was playing terrible. But a lot of the gym leaders aren't super hard to get through. The end game is ridiculous, a ridiculous spike. It just is what it is. It's not super hard to get through these trainers, like I said, because most of them are not hard. Even though I did almost wipe to a Darmanitan, because wow, I actually fight a Sheer Force Flare Blitz Pokemon that has like good normal coverage as well in terms of actually being able to hit water types, and I have like these really trash Pokemon. I literally almost wiped to a Darmanitan. Pokemon feel weirdly disposable. I've kind of never really felt that in a Nuzlocke, which kind of, I don't know, maybe not like the game as much. Like I said, the pacing's pretty good. Not super hard to get through in terms of actually just being able to spend time and just walk through it, The Forest or Ether Max Repel Rare Candy combo is so goated. I love that part of this game. Like I said, I stole it from my ROM hack. But this E4, in my opinion, is almost unbeatable in its current form. But also, there's a Zekrom, I guess, if you count that, which I was pretty unwilling to use at first. Also, there's like some weird balancing things in terms of which Pokemon's evolutions. Like, I can use Shell Smash Baton past Gorbis, but I can't use a Zebstrika. Like, what? I wish there was more Pokemon allowed. I just feel like it would make sense. But that's enough opinion from me. I don't want to be super negative. Like I said, I'm not trying to bash this hack. I just played a unique hack and I'm like, damn, I would love to get my thoughts on this. I have not played many hacks like this at all. I wish the balancing was more Gen 5 balancing and less garbage green balancing. At the very least, for the end of the game balancing, because, like I said, this game was balanced around Gen 3, where the champion has a Dragon Rage Gyarados. And this Victory Road and N plus Ghetsis back-to-back was just really, really hard and unnecessarily hard, I would say. Not in a well-balanced hard, but like you have almost no options besides Zekrama just hoping that you win to actually get through the fights. And I wish these boss fights just didn't feel like a Gym 1 fight over and over and over and over. Anyways, like and sub. I haven't done one of these reviews in like a really, really long time. I'm going to release my Fire Red hack, Fire Deluxe as well, pretty soon. And I do want to make a Trashlocke hack, so just stay tuned for all that stuff. If you got through the video, thank you. Like and sub. Peace.